If you're a successful mother and you've raised a child, if you've been in the military and you succeeded and qualified and you've been in combat, if you've actually been able to go through the grueling 4 years of a college degree, if you've been able to become successfully a mechanic or even a medical doctor or any kind of even like minor professional to professional athlete or any domain where you actually had to have a level of focus to actually pull it off successfully, if you've been able to succeed in any of those domains, my argument is that entrepreneurship is far, far simpler. And I don't want to say easier, but I think potentially easier than any of those domains. The thing that is preventing entrepreneurial capacity when it's actually inside, I think entrepreneurship is inside the heart of almost any human that's alive. Even if you truly desire to be an employee, you could still be entrepreneurial in that capacity. And when I say entrepreneurial, entrepreneurship was actually originally defined as a term in the 1800s, I think, somewhere in Italy. And the rough definition of entrepreneurship before it was actually coined as a word. And the word roughly meant somebody that took a bunch of resources that were of lower value, combined those resources together and made them of greater value. And I think that kind of capacity is inside of every human being that's alive. And I just wish more people would identify with the spirit of entrepreneurship, which is one of value creation, where in each moment you could create more value than what exists in that moment. And so if you're a mother and you've successfully raised kids, you could slay entrepreneurship. I have a daughter, and raising a kid is far more demanding and far more stressful and far more difficult than it's ever been to build any of the 20 different business ideas that I've started that I can remember. And I just want people to understand that when you're properly trained in entrepreneurship, the reason that entrepreneurship is actually seen as risky is not because entrepreneurship is actually risky. It's because it's not been trained. If you were going to go rock climbing, untrained, risky. If you were going to go jump out of a plane, a parachute, untrained, risky. If you were going to get into an MMA ring and fight an MMA fighter without ever getting trained, risky. If you were ever going to try and hike up Mount Everest without training, risky. If you're ever to try to start your own business without training, which millions of people do a year, it's risky. So it's not that entrepreneurship is risky. It's that being untrained is what makes it risky. And often the only reason that we don't have more successful entrepreneurs is not because it's some inborn natural talent that you can do with intuition, unless maybe you're like the top 1% of entrepreneurs, which I needed a ton of training to succeed. It's not about talent or ability. It's about training. The best musicians in the world, from like the Ed Sheerans to the John Mayers, these people who are highly skilled at music, they know the truth was they had to put in 10,000 hours to be good as a musician. Everybody else that doesn't understand that just thinks that, oh yeah, music's not for me. If you would have got 10,000 hours at music like Ed Sheeran or 10,000 hours at guitar like John Mayer, you would probably be at a similar level to those guys. As successful, I don't know, but you're probably pretty good. From what I've seen and what I've heard, roughly, and what I've been able to search around, roughly 8 out of 10 Americans have dreamt of starting their own thing. The failure rate, depending on who you talk to, is anywhere between 40% up to 90% for a business in the first 10 years. They're gone. But if you look at the stats of that, of the 40% to 90% that have failed in 10 years, if you look at the training that they had going in, it's often very little, next to none. So what we have here is entrepreneurship is seen as risky. And what I want to plant the seed into you is that it's not that entrepreneurship is risky. It's that being untrained is risky. The time it takes me to fill out a job application, apply for a job, go to an interview, get through the interview process, get hired, work for 2 weeks, get my first paycheck, that arduous long window, I could have validated and started and tried 5 different business ideas and got my first customer for those ideas. Not because I'm special, because I'm trained. A trained killer knows how to kill somebody like this. A trained fighter knows how to knock out somebody like this. A trained entrepreneur knows how to execute and prove a successful idea and reduce the risk of failure like this. And so please hear me that if you have ever dreamt of entrepreneurship, it's ever been the quietest whisper in your heart, I wonder what it would be like to start my own thing. Please understand that if you just had the right training, that it could be possible for you. And by the way, the right training is not about what to name it, how to do a business plan, where to get an LLC, how to get a domain, how to make your logo, how to make a product, how to do any of that stuff. The only thing that you need to start a business is a customer with a problem that's willing to give you money. A customer with a problem that's willing to give you money. That means you don't need a domain. You don't need a business name. You could have a generic Gmail address. I made 700 grand in my first business on my personal Gmail address because I asked my customers, hey, do you care that I'm like working with you on my personal Gmail address? They're like, dude, I don't care. Okay, cool. I just built my business around what my customers cared about. Hey, do you care about this in the product? Yes. Do you care about it? No. Hey, do you care if my email is personal or branded? No. They didn't care, so I didn't do it. I waited till like 700 grand to do it. So here's the deal. If I'm saying what you need to start a business is a person with a problem willing to pay you, person, problem, willing to pay you. The IRS, love them or hate them, defines a business as an establishment that exists to make a profit. So if a business is an establishment that exists to make a profit, is that a domain? Is it a logo? Is it a business plan? Is it a product? No, it's none of those things. It's a customer with money willing to pay you so you can profit. When I said I could try and start 5 ideas and try selling them and have that idea started and getting payment by the time you applied for a job and did the 2 weeks, that's because I'm trained, not because I'm special. So I can go like that because I have the training. Well, the reason I can do it so quick, because when I say start a business, you're like, oh God, so much dread. Oh, it seems like so much work. Oh God, I got to get a brand and emails and I got to look legitimate and I got to get photos and I've got to create a new personal Instagram page and I've got to go do this and that and this and that until I'm drowning in all these things to do to start a business when none of that has anything to do with finding a customer who has a problem that's willing to pay you. And so if I know, because I'm trained as an entrepreneur, so I can go like that, I can go out, find a customer, find their problem, ask them if they'd pay for it, get a little money down, and now I'm in business. That's why I can move so fast, because I'm trained. So now the next objective then becomes, well, like, how do I start a business if I've got no experience, limited time, limited money, I've got no confidence. Even the idea of me starting a business triggers so much fear, I can't even consider thinking about it. Making money is not easy. There are under 4,000 billionaires in the world, and there's some 8 billion people. If making money was easy, we would have more than 4,000 billionaires. So I'm not here to tell you that making money is easy. If I had an 18-year-old son and he was about to start a business, I would not say, hey son, making money is easy. I would say, get ready for the ride of your life. It's going to be harder than you think. It's going to take twice as long as you think, but it's also going to be 10 times more rewarding than you think. And that's the truth of it. So here we are, talking to the slumbering entrepreneur inside your heart, hoping that you're hearing this message, hoping that you're understanding that entrepreneurship can be possible for you. And also that I have thought this for the last 15 years of my life, and it's actually now becoming more and more true every day. Entrepreneurship is actually safer than being an employee when you're trained. Entrepreneurship is safer than being an employee when you're trained. I have a business with 1,800 customers that all pay me every month, and I live a very, very wonderful quality of life. That business, I didn't come up with the idea. I didn't build it myself. I didn't have expertise in the problem, and I didn't even use any of my own money to build it. Complete scratch, completely clueless. Now I have a multi-million-dollar business. Why? Because I was trained. Was it easy? God, no. But was it harder than being an employee? I don't think so. So here we are, you with the slumbering entrepreneur inside of you, wanting you to know that not only is it possible for you to be an entrepreneur if you just get trained, but that it's also safer for you to be an entrepreneur than it is to be an employee. Because right now, well, employees have always been on the chopping block. And it's unfortunate. Now, more than ever, as an employee, your financial future is at risk because AI is coming and it's deleting and replacing jobs more rapidly than any of us are really ready for. So back in the 1800s, most everybody was some form of entrepreneur or sole proprietor. Many, many, many people were. The shoemaker, the horse guy, everybody had their own little business. And then we kind of went through the Industrial Revolution, and then people were trained to be employees by a school system. And now we have more employees, not because it's innate to the soul, but because it's because of what conditioning happened. Now that we've had that, Now we're kind of coming back, I think, to our roots where we're like, hey, I think entrepreneurship, why do you think 8 out of 10 Americans have thought of starting their own business? Because it's in the innate ache of the human soul to have their own freedom of expression with their own freedom of autonomy to speak and bring their own creations into the world. And now I'm here to tell you, please say this phrase out loud, take a breath with me, wiggle your toes, relax your nervous system and say, holy crap, entrepreneurship doesn't have to be so risky as long as I'm trained.